Good evening. It is 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, May 4th, 2022. And this regular meeting of the Sandpoint City Council is now called to order in council chambers at City Hall, 1123 West Lake Street in Sandpoint, Idaho. The sound tonight is fantastic. For the record, I'm Mayor Shelby Ronstadt presiding. Also present are councilors Joel Espiro, Andy Grote, Jason Welker, and Justin Dick. Councilors Kate McAllister and Deb Rule are absent. We'll now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any announcements from council?
Mr. Mayor, I neglected to let give a big thanks to our street crew last week for the branch cleanup. Our citizens did a good job with following instructions and getting the right branches out, and our crews went out and knocked it out, as well as while I was driving around earlier this week, I saw our striping crews out, and I want to say thank you to them. Navigating the traffic is a challenge, and it's also, for me, it's a big indicator that spring, summer is here and Los 50s is around the corner.
Yes.
So here we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Appreciate that. Any other announcements? Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge the little ones out there. I'm happy to see young citizens participating tonight. So good job.
All right. Any announcements from staff?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of announcements tonight and kind of a theme that Councilman Grote started off. I wanted to give an update on special events this week. We've got 6 special events throughout the city this week. We have a Cinco de Mayo event from Leadership Sandpoint down on Main Street tomorrow. And it will be the block on Main Street between 1st and 2nd, so along our designated event area downtown. There is a second Cinco de Mayo event that we have permitted at iCarts, which is a fundraiser on Saturday. And so it's not actually on Cinco de Mayo, but it's their annual Cinco de Mayo fundraiser event. And it's in the alley next to iCarts. So that alley there, right next to iCarts, will be closed on Saturday for that event. On Friday through Sunday, we have a big event that will be at Memorial Field, as well as over at the sports complex, LAX at the lake. So a big lacrosse tournament that will be at essentially all of our fields over the weekend. National Day of Prayer also will be tomorrow, and that's down at Farm and Park, and an event permit has been issued for that. The 3/4 minus cyclo tour is scheduled for Saturday. So spent a lot of time coordinating with them, met with them this week. And overall, just for an update on the summer that we have yet to come. This year, we already have 30 special event applications that have come through that we're processing for this year. And either have been issued or in the process of review or discussions and coordination. And just to give you an idea of how many special events we're putting through as compared to other cities, as we're looking at some updates to our special events policy moving forward later this year. We had also done some research on what some of the other cities were doing more recently with special event permitting. And City of Boise came out with an updated special events policy, and they referenced in their policy that they issue approximately 30 special event permits throughout the City of Boise in a given year. So we like to party and have fun a lot here in Sandpoint, but we're super busy with events. One thing I would note with our special events as well is we've caught a number that have come through where we have businesses that are putting on special events and have not obtained a business license. So for those having special events, booking them through the city, those who are contracting with the city for services, one of the things we do in a review check on those is, are they in good standing with the city? Do they have a current business license with the City of Sandpoint? And just fun fact around that, we're also processing a significant increase in the number of business licenses from what we've seen in prior years. We check through those in our leadership committee meetings weekly, and a significant number, I'm sure it's no surprise, are related to construction and building, much more than what we have seen in the past. And we'll have an update for council on business licenses as part of our performance reporting with the budget. But right now, currently with in the city, we have over 1,300 businesses operating with active valid business licenses. So again, another, I think, kind of shocking number for a community our size about just how much activity is occurring throughout the city. So just wanted to give you an update. A number of our events, again, are in our parks, and we do have adopted parks use fees, and that is to offset the impacts to our parks. It goes to additional time involved for our parks maintenance crew to assist with repairing a park for an event, additional trash removal and costs for those. And then as well in our right-of-ways, we tend to have a lot of coordination in planning of events, bringing out street barricades and things for events so that they are safe. And then there's, of course, a lot of planning around public safety impacts. So planning coordination with police, thinking about whether we need extra staff. And many of our larger events do require that we have overtime hours. We have additional staff on with police. And fortunately, we haven't had major incidents, but we do see an uptick in activity in the police department when we're having large special events, whether they're attracting people from outside or sometimes it's our own local events. So just kind of an update on what we're doing in special events. And this is a super busy week, and I think kind of the kickoff to a super busy summer season. And one last event that I did not mention specifically, but want to have Maeve come up and give you an update on, is we are also officially celebrating Arbor Day this Saturday. And Maeve has been working with the tree committee on a series of activities. So it is an expanded, new, improved Arbor Day, possibly in the rain. But we hope people will come out for this because there's a lot of really great workshops. So Maeve, I'll hand it over to you and pull up your flyer.
Sure. So thank you very much, Jennifer. So this is the flyer that's been going around, and it's the Arbor Day Celebration. So it's from 10 to 2 p.m. at Lakeview Park. And we've partnered this year with the Ponderay Arts Council to make a community tree tapestry. So that will be really fun. You can come and put your handprint on the tree that's going to make the leaves, and then that's going to hang in City Hall. We've partnered with the Connexu Land Trust to create a nature craft station for kids. Astor Garden Center is going to be doing garden design workshops throughout the day. So if you come there and you tell them your property, and you don't have to live in Sandpoint, you can get some help with your garden design and right plant, right place kind of a theme. We have the Department of Lands there, and we have our friends from the Spokane Conservation District and the Bonner Soil and Water Conservation Districts, who will be doing forest health and other Arbor Day related educational workshops. And we'll have a little tour going on that you can do. And kind of my favorite part of this all is Jennifer is about to pull it up.
Sorry.
This first one is the flyer that just talks about the day, but the second one is the Sandpoint Arbor Day passport. So if you show up to the event, and you will get this little map, and one side is the map and it shows all the different stations with our partners that are going to be there. And then the back side, if you go to a station and you complete the activity, you will get a sticker. And after you fill this out, you can get a free tree. So seedlings, it's first come, first serve, but we have about 150 seedlings to give away, and maybe some more goodies, freebies from our partners. And simultaneously, the museum is going to be having their fundraising event where they are selling plants to fundraise for the museum. And the caboose is going to be open, and it's a curated caboose, and that's a free event that you can check out. The Arboretum has the Lorax, the character from Dr. Seuss, the Lorax scavenger hunt is going on. So a lot of fun things in that area with like-minded partners. So it's free and it's for all ages. So I hope that we see your faces there. Thank you.
So a couple things.
Yes,
Who doesn't love stickers?
right? Stickers.
How are we, in what media form are we getting this out to the public for them to be aware? Are we advertising it through the newspaper, through?
Yeah, sure. So we started advertising it. Actually, you've heard me talk about it now for over a month. But we have a flyer that goes out to over 3,500 people on our recreation user list, as well as it went out on our social media platforms. So yeah, and then all of our partners have it as well. So we've been getting the word out. I hope it's not too many people because of the lacrosse tournament, but I think we'll be able to manage the crowd.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank
Can
you,
I
Maeve.
add something
Appreciate it.
as well? Mr.
Okay,
Mayor?
yeah, go ahead.
Maeve, I watched the recording of the tree committee meeting the other day, and you just really impressed the members of the tree committee with all your organization on this and
Thank
your
you.
graphic design work on the flyers. It's really cool stuff. I'm a little bummed that I won't be able to participate because I'm doing support for the 3/4 Minus cycle tour that day. But I know my wife will be there, and I just
Okay.
want to thank you for all the work you put into this. It's a really, really cool event for our community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really fun. And we now have a base map of the park, which is always great for other things. So my graphics are not just for this project, but I actually have some planning efforts in the long run that I'm going to work on. So thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to serve this community.
Thank you, Maeve. Appreciate it.
Mayor, I have a couple other
Okay.
announcements as well. So as Councilman Grote mentioned earlier, striping crews are out and started on the north side of the city and will be working their way through the entire city. So our goal is, again, mid-May for planning for summer season uptick in tourism. And hopefully by then we've gotten beyond snow, the multiple returns of snow and sanding, and we've got the streets all swept. So the paint will stay down. So mid-May is when we will have striping completed throughout the city, but you might see striping crews in different parts of the city and wonder, why haven't you seen them in your neighborhood or in portions of town you travel most? And it's because it'll be occurring over several weeks. So, but by mid-May, they will be done. And then I also wanted to ask Amanda Wilson, our Infrastructure Development Services Director, to give an update. We've been working on updating the truck routes, and this was part of our multimodal transportation plan activities and priorities, and we'll be coming back to council with an update on that.
Excellent. Thank you, Jennifer, and good evening. A year ago, City Council adopted the multimodal transportation plan, and a condition, if you'll recall, of that approval was actually a directive to city staff that we would come back with an assessment of omitting the current truck route on Division Avenue prior to the completion of the Baldy Mountain extension concept, and that we would bring those results to City Council within 12 months. So I just wanted to provide an update that we haven't forgotten. It is in process. We're collecting the data, and Fair and Pierce is working through that information. We anticipate bringing that forward to you at the second meeting in June. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Appreciate that.
My final two announcements for tonight. Councilwoman Rule is not here tonight. She had hip surgery today, and so asked me to share with her fellow council members that she is in recovery and a little groggy, but expects to be back at future meetings. And then finally, I had sent a meeting request out to council members, a calendar invite for a special council meeting on June 8th at 5:30. So our regular meetings in June would be June 1st and 15th. And this special meeting would be specifically related to utilities discussion and a workshop on, first workshop on our new utility rate, at least the initial draft. So there will be no decision at this meeting. But our consultants with FCS, Angie and Brooke, will be participating in a discussion with council on kind of the first round of rate study findings and where we are. We've been working through multiple versions of that, trying to get ready for the council meetings. So June 8th, and I expect that will probably be a 2-hour meeting workshop. So for that meeting, it is a workshop format, and we haven't done one of those actually in a while and since our new configuration. So just a reminder for the council and the public, when we're doing workshops, we actually get off the dais for those discussions. So we'll go to the other end of the room where our dais used to be and use that table. It's more of a discussion format. We will have the meeting available online so the public can hear the conversation in the workshop, and the meeting is open to the public. So we'll just be turning the chairs around in this room for that meeting. And again, no decision. It will be a discussion with the workshop facilitators and staff. That's it.
All right, thank you. I would like to recognize International Firefighters Day. The first ever International Firefighters Day was held on May 4th, 1999, and was recognized around much of the globe. The date was proposed in recognition of 5 Australian firefighters who tragically lost their lives on December 2nd, 1998, battling a wildfire in the Linton community of Victoria, Australia. It was the obvious choice because of the tradition established by firefighters with Saint Florian, the patron saint of firefighters, chimney sweeps, and brewers. In the Catholic tradition, May 4th is recognized as a feast day for Saint Florian. And the cross of Saint Florian remains a common mark of firefighters and the organizations that support them. So the feast day that honors the patron saint of firefighters was selected as the day to honor the service and sacrifice of firefighters everywhere, including here in Sandpoint, where we very much value and appreciate our firefighters and recognize their countless contributions to our community every single day. So thank you. And with that, we have a promotion and a pinning ceremony this evening for our fire department. Chief Gilcrease, I will turn it over to you, sir. Thank you.
How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm good.
I have a short program. It's only about 13 pages. No, I'm just kidding. Mayor, council, thank you guys for the opportunity for us to use, allowing us to use this forum as the venue for our ceremony this evening. The fire service is steeped in tradition, kind of like what the mayor was talking about with St. Florian. Some of those traditions can be very specific to a fire station, some to a department, some are even specific to their geography. It could be the color of an apparatus, the type of gear or equipment that they use. It can also be in the terminology like referring to a hydrant as a plug or asking the dispatcher to fill out the box on a working fire. Tonight, we come together to honor one of the oldest traditions in the fire service, one that firefighters all over the world recognize in one form or another, the badge pinning ceremony. Most firefighters are recognized at least once in their careers when they complete their probationary training. This is when they begin their real fire service career. They are now part of the crew. This, however, is only the beginning. The training continues and becomes more focused. More details are added over time to assist them in honing their skill sets and to be able to call on those skills and deliver them when needed to mitigate various incidents that they will face during their career. Some firefighters decide at some point in their career that they will accept more responsibility and they seek out ways to improve themselves beyond normal expectations. The next step for most of these individuals is to begin preparation for the opportunity of promotion into their role of a company officer. The process is challenging, it is draining, competitive, and very time-consuming. When these individuals make the decision to promote, they have made a commitment that is very difficult, just to say the least. As the Chief of Selkirk Fire, it gives me great pleasure in asking Engineer Zach Yukich to the podium for his pinning. As he makes his way up, it is also a customary tradition in the fire service that the person that is getting pinned can select the person that is actually going to do the pinning. Tonight, He will be pinned by his daughter Presley and assisted by his wife Cody. Maybe Nora. We don't know. He said Nora's a wild card, so we're not sure yet. That's all right. Stepped on a pop top. It happens every time. Show them the badge. You wanna pin it on that? Fantastic job. With the pinning complete, Captain Yukich has made the transition from firefighter to fire officer. He's demonstrated top-tier knowledge and decision-making abilities that will allow him to be a successful company officer for Selkirk Fire Rescue and EMS. He has proved himself time and again, and he is willing and able to be a leader on and off the fire ground. He has earned the respect of not only myself, but his colleagues and peers in Selkirk Fire, as well as other agencies that we work alongside with delivering our emergency services. I would like to thank Captain Yukich for his daily effort. The effort he makes to seek out improvement for himself, his crew, and the department are constant. As with all the officers of Selkirk Fire, he is setting the bar at a high level for our future officers to strive toward. Captain Yukich, in your new role, never let yourself become satisfied with the status quo. Continue to challenge yourself and your crew to excel in any task you undertake. Continue to grow in your new role, developing as an officer and a mentor to those that follow you in their career path. Congratulations. Mayor, Council, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief, and congratulations, Captain Yukich. Lastly, I have a proclamation to read this evening in support of Marcy's Law. Whereas Marcy's Law for Idaho and advocacy organizations statewide are dedicated to guaranteeing victims' rights and providing a voice. Whereas Marcy's Law for Idaho supporters agree victims should always be treated with fairness and respect throughout the criminal justice process, protected from the defendant, reasonably heard at public proceedings, and given a voice through the process of the case. Whereas per the Idaho State Police and its most recent 2020 Idaho statewide crime profile report, a total of 17,955 crimes were committed against Idahoans, and a total of 4,484 violent crime offenses were reported to law enforcement, including murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. Whereas Marcy's Law for Idaho will ensure that victims receive the same rights that are afforded to criminals and have rights to notification of release from probation and parole, hearings, and legal standing in court to assert their rights. And whereas victims' rights is a nonpartisan, non-political issue, and Marcy's Law for Idaho is a common sense approach to ensuring those rights. Now, therefore, I, Shelby Ronstadt, Mayor of the City of Sandpoint, do hereby proclaim support for Marcy's Law for Idaho and its goal and commitment of ensuring that crime victims are guaranteed equal constitutional rights in our justice system. And I encourage our community to join in the commitment to protect the rights of Idaho crime victims. proclaimed this 4th day of May, 2022 in the city of Sandpoint, Bonner County, Idaho. Next is the public forum portion of this meeting, which gives the public the opportunity to address myself and city council regarding items either listed on the consent calendar or any topic not listed on the agenda. Those here in chambers who wish to speak will need to complete a sign-up form available by the front table. Available by the table by the front door. And then please hand it to the clerk up here in the front of the room. If you are on Zoom and wish to speak, please raise your hand. And of course, you'll need a working microphone and you'll need to unmute yourself. Comments shall not be personally derogatory, nor shall they be personally directed at any individual, organization, or business. Public comment opportunities during meetings are for comments only. Do not direct questions to staff or council, and please do not approach the dais. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, has anyone indicated they would like to speak in the public forum this evening?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Owens.
Good evening. My name is Terry Owens. I'm a Sandpoint resident. I'd like to address playing music in the Farm and Park Band Shell. Beginning in 2013, I have organized an afternoon of music in Farm Park. This was an opportunity for local musicians, their family and friends, and the general public, local and out-of-towners, to get together and enjoy themselves. In addition to its picturesque setting, the Farm and Park Bandstand is a unique venue in that there are no age restrictions or no costs to attend. Truly family friendly. As you probably know, the city code requires permission for amplified music in a public park. To accommodate this, I have partnered with Sandpoint Parks and Rec. I've enjoyed this relationship and I believe they have too. However, this year, I was informed that I would be required to obtain a special events permit. I was told that I would need to purchase a business license and rent the entire park at a rate of $345.50. Keep in mind that this is a free public event and none of the bands are paid. I would like to use the bandstand as a public park facility, same as a tennis court, skate park, boat ramp, or swing set. You can eliminate the rental fees. I would love to continue my labor of love and provide free music for the city and our guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Madam Clerk, is there anyone else that would like to speak in the public forum?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. We will now proceed with the consent calendar. For the record, the total amount of bills is $203,067.82 for regular payables. Are there any items council wishes to remove from the consent calendar? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion that the consent calendar be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. You almost made it, Justin.
Yeah,
We were this
almost
close. All right, this will be a roll call vote.
Counselor Dick,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Counselor Sprow,
Yes.
Counselor Grow.
Yes.
The consent calendar is approved and there is no old business on the agenda this evening. So the final item on the agenda under new business is the fiscal year 2022 second quarter financial report presented by Finance Director Sarah Lentz. Thank you, Sarah.
Good evening. I wanted to start off and remind you and the public where you can find some financial information just in case you're looking and can't find it. So there's two places on our website you can go. I'm going to go to the one that's under your government and under finance and utilities. Under here, under the finance and budget and reporting, has several different areas: the budgets, the annual financial report, the treasurer's quarter report, and then also the financial transparency. I'm only going to click in the budget report just for you can see this has several years on here. So this goes all the way back to 2011. Inside of here it will take you, once you click on it, to the actual budgets or whatever you are looking for. I'm not going to dig into that at this point, but just in case you want to need any questions or need to point anyone to past history stuff, this is a good place to go. The other place, if you go back to the homepage on our website, is this finances actual link to a tab, a financial transparency tab. So in here has various different things you can also link through. You have just questions on revenues, expenses. This will all bring you, and I'm going to come down here. I'm not going to click on all of them, but this will bring you down to our latest financial statement presentation and report, and then to our annual financial reports for the current year. So this is an easy, quick link you can go to direct people to that has a user interaction to different stories. I'm going to click on the second quarter report because that's the one I want to go to. This is the quarterly report. We're about halfway through. We are halfway through our fiscal year. And I wanted to remind everyone that our majority of our work that happens during the summertime, which is always in our fourth quarter. So caveat every quarterly report until we get to the very last one is you're going to see very low amounts on our capital. You should see steady through the salaries and benefits and M&O steadily throughout the year. But the capital will be very low in all those areas until we get to that final quarter. You can hear, here is a link to the quarterly, that's in your packet, quarterly report that is by Idaho state statute, what we have to publish through the public. Going down farther in here is the links that you can, that is our OpenGov story that will, again, is through the third or the second quarter. And again, you can dig into these as much as you want. I'm going to go highlight here's general fund, going down to salaries. You can see here our budget to our actuals and then the budget to our variances. And that's about 60% left in the budget for salaries and wages. Again, the capital is very low at spent 13%. Just come down to the bottom of that. You can see in personnel expenditures are 38.7% expended through the second quarter. We do have 26 pay periods in the year. How those fall in the year, it isn't quite 50% as of the at the end of the second quarter. We're at 44.6% of pay periods are expended as of now. So we are below budget to actual in that personnel expenditures. M&O is about 41.3% expended, and our capital projects is in general fund. Again, this is general fund is 12.9% expended. This is a very long story with a lot of graphs. The way this graph is designed, again, is a 5-year trend on the first quarter budget to actual. Second and third and fourth, we're through the second quarter. That's the orange line there. What you can see on here is the trending compared to prior years. What you want to see is a consistency line. You can see here that we're right on budget to actuals of what we've spent. You can see these throughout the presentation all the way down. Revenues, want to point out here on the general fund revenues, property taxes come in 2 lumps. Again, January and July are our 2 big lump sums that are coming from the county. So at this point, the big first one is in, but the second one won't be received until July, which will actually be in our fourth quarter. So going down, scrolling, again, nothing to note unusual here. Last year, for the new council members, last year, our big bump in that first and second quarter for 2021 is we received a large grant. I shouldn't say received. We received from the state some funding that came through in lieu of property taxes. So that was a bump that you'll see in the first and second quarters there. But now it's, if you look at this compared to prior years, it is trending how it was. Down, I'm going to, these are all the special revenue funds, nothing to note that's out of whack. I'm going to go down all the way to the bottom. Again, if you have any detailed questions in here, please ask. I'm going to go down all the way to the bottom to note the resort city tax. I always seem to come to this one. This one, if you look at the second quarter, last year, the last 2 years, you will are kind of in the COVID. If you go prior COVID, 2019, you can see our line here. Our second quarter is in line with basically our third quarter revenues of 2 years ago pre-COVID. That is a significant increase even over last year. And so projections going out, it's amazing how much is coming in. I think you contribute this to increase of rental prices. I'm assuming, again, I don't know how that data, I don't get that, but also the amount of stays are probably increasing. But that to me is showing that the tourists and the rentals have increased significantly, even over prior years pre-COVID. So, I mean, pre-COVID, we were at 136. Now we're at 224 for the same time period. Again, our not even our busy season. So, did you want to add anything else to that one?
I think the one thing I would add is a reminder around this resort city tax. So it's labeled as an occupancy tax. This is a bed tax for us. So this is collected from visitors in the area, and it's collected on hotel room stays as well as short-term rentals. And so when Sarah was saying we don't have all the data on nights of stay or how much they're charging, we have agreements with two of the largest short-term rental companies, and they collect the tax directly from the property owners and remit it to the city. And when they remit that, they don't remit it based on properties, numbers of nights, that kinds of things. We do have permitting for short-term rentals. We actually are permitting a lesser number of short-term rentals than we have in prior years. But we have also been seeing a trend over the last several years, again, with hotel stays throughout the year going up, as well as costs for short-term rentals increasing as well. This resort city tax, the occupancy tax, just a reminder about this goes to fund public safety services in the city. So it goes to fund some of our fire services, some of our police services. And again, the reason behind that is that particularly when we're not at peak times, our calls for service are significantly less than what we see going into event season, the summer season, tourist season. And so this helps with tourists paying a portion of those increased public safety costs that the community incurs without that being completely on the taxpayers. In addition to that, some of these revenues go in to support the park system. Specifically, we use it to fund our lifeguard program, as well as some of our other parks programs and spots. So our public transit between the cities of Dover, Sandpoint, Ponderay, and Kootenai, as well as now up to Schweitzer. So all of the cities participate in funding spot. We use resort city tax dollars specifically for this purpose. In the case that we are collecting more revenues than what is budgeted, as provided under Idaho state law, those excess revenues that are collected, our property taxpayers see in the form of property tax relief. So that's the way resort city tax was designed. So when there are excesses, it's seen as property tax relief. One thing I would note for council, and this kind of moves into our budget discussions, but kind of an early preview for this, is bed taxes. There was a recent report that was issued by the National Lodging Association, and the average bed tax across the country is actually about 20%. And I will send that report out to council members, and we will have it as part of our budget discussions so the public can see that as well. But that might be something that council wants to consider looking forward, as we've heard from the public about impacts specifically to our streets and our transportation system, and desire for the visitors to pay a portion of that. So this might be something that council wants to consider as part of this budget season, and possibly consider taking forward to voters, but we will discuss that further in budget workshops. Based on revenue projections, if we were to look at doing something like that, and with the potential allocation specifically for street projects, it would be about an additional 500, or at the pace that we're at, $750,000 towards street improvements. A reminder on our pavement maintenance programs that the recommendation was we have a backlog of improvements that need to occur on our streets just relative to pavement maintenance. And we all live this on a daily basis driving our streets. The recommendation of our consultant was that in order to get through that backlog and ahead, that we need to have an investment in our streets of $1 million a year. We have been working hard to try to get ourselves to that number. We have committed since the time of that to an allocation of $500,000 to pavement improvement projects. And you'll be getting an update from Amanda next month on what those projects will be for this year. And then they're also outlining the projects for next year as well, but potentially an increase in the resort city tax that is closer to the average could actually get us up to that $1 million investment that was recommended.
Let me ask you a question. Jennifer, is there anything in Idaho law about how high we can raise the bed tax? I was under the impression we were already high for Idaho. Is that not the case?
We've seen some of the other cities doing increases, and I don't remember it off the top of my head, but there are cities that we were at one time the highest in the state.
Mhm.
That is not the case currently. So, and I can't tell you what cities off the top of my head. It's been about a month since I looked at the report, but we will be bringing that back to council and I'll get that report sent out.
So Idaho law does not place a limit on how high we could go.
No,
Correct.
there's not a limit on, it's voter approval for our resort city taxes. So again, a reminder, we've actually had two taxes. Historically, we have had this resort city tax and bed tax, and in the state of Idaho, only resort cities are able to charge this because, again, of tourism impacts and costs within their community. We are allowed to do other taxes in line with state tax codes, so sales taxes, and across the state you see sometimes like what we did for a 5-year tax, which was approved, a 1% local option tax on all sales. There also is an option of a sales tax on a product or a category that specifically is taxed under Idaho state laws. So in some other resort communities, you see that the tax may only apply to liquor, for example, and drink service in restaurants and bars. So there's a variety of different mechanisms the different cities use. They typically are using some form of a sales tax, either a comprehensive wholesale tax or specifically applied to certain items for sale. And around the state, it's pretty consistent across all the resort cities, the implementation of a bed tax. In most other states, the bed occupancy tax is something that most communities are allowed to do. So you see most destination communities with a bed tax.
One more question. Can a bed tax be applied to STRs exclusively, or would it be applied to all beds, hotels and short-term rentals? Can you discriminate between STRs and hotels or other? I don't know if you know the answer to that, but
I would
Good
defer
question.
to our attorneys on that, and I don't know if
I don't need an answer. It's just something I'm
prepared
curious
tonight,
about.
but
Sure.
when we come back to it, we'll have a conversation with Andy and do some
Mhm.
further research about that, including getting you what this most recent lodging survey is, and what it's showing around the country, what it's showing in our Northwest area, what we're seeing with other Idaho cities. So we will bring that information back to council. As you recall, last year, council did approve a ballot measure to go to voters for another 7-year 1% local option sales tax, specifically for parks and for sidewalk improvements. Much of the feedback that came back from the public was the concern about, again, our degrading infrastructure in our streets. So that's why we just wanted to bring that to your attention. We do have that backlog, and in looking at recent studies and also trends that we're seeing with occupancy tax, it is something council may want to consider.
Great. And Jennifer, I know historically, we've also used the local option or the bed tax to fund the city's portion of the diver dredging program for aquatic invasive milfoil management in our water park water areas. I'm not sure if that program, is that program happening this year?
Yep.
It
We
is.
have a current contract, so Aquatic Weed Solutions will be doing aquatic weeds removal again in both of the marina areas. So Windbag, City Beach, as well as over at our launch site, we tend to collect a lot of weed growth around the Memorial Field launch specifically. And then the recommendation was more weed removal and pulling specifically up in Sand Creek. There is kind of a growing population of flowering rush, and it can be rather invasive. So there are efforts relative to milfoil in the areas immediately surrounding the city, at the marinas, and as well as at the boat launches has been fairly successful, but they're seeing an increase in the flowering rush.
And lastly, you had mentioned that if we exceed revenues from this tax beyond what we budgeted, that would go back, that would be given back in the form of tax relief?
Yes.
In what form would that tax relief happen? Would it go back to those who paid the bed tax? Or would
No,
it go
goes
back into?
as tax relief for property taxpayers, and you'll see we've had that. This will not be the first year. So as we move forward into next year's budget, you'll see that property tax relief reflected in our budget documents because revenues are exceeding budgeted amounts fairly substantially. So there should be a fairly substantial amount of property tax relief. We've had that in previous years as well.
I find that odd that the person who's paying the tax is not getting the refund, right? It's going to property tax owner or property taxpayers. Just an observation. I find that odd. Anywho, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Any questions?
Any other questions, Council?
Thank you.
All right. With that, this meeting is adjourned. I hope you all have a great evening. Thanks for coming.